Welcome to Lindemann Outdoors. Join Buckshot and Iceman Lindemann as they celebrate God's beautiful creation through fishing, hunting, and outdoor adventures. It's time to fill the freezer and enjoy the great outdoors the way it was meant to be. Welcome back, baby. We're back from the hate, and this time it's all about love.
Just bring in the love.
Also, check this out.
Ooh. Fancy.
Anyways, I want to talk about fishing. We discovered something that's probably the dumbest way to catch a limit of walleyes. I don't know if it's dumb or if it's genius. And obviously we're not going to tell you where. We can tell you how.
Right, but I don't know where you're going with this.
Catching a limit of walleyes from shore.
Mm-hmm.
Casting from a pile of rocks, reeling in big old walleyes.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say why it's ridiculous in my opinion. I grew up on Lake of the Woods, where you have to drive your boat miles out into the water in order to catch your limit of walleyes. And now we can go minutes in a certain direction, sit on a pile of rocks, and catch a limit of walleyes. I understand that this is probably normal across the whole world, but to me, this is just ridiculous and just dumb.
Wow. That is
it's ridiculous.
Well, it's really not that ridiculous because
from my perspective,
when you have, a bunch of minnows along the shoreline, it's only natural for them walleyes to come in there and feed on those minnows. And it
makes sense, but it's just.
And if you're lucky enough that the water is deep enough, 3 feet and deeper, you can just stand on shore and you can cast your jigs and baits and of all kinds at these walleyes. Some people cast crankbaits. Some people cast jigs with just a minnow. Some will cast. I personally have been using swim baits, paddle tails to be exact. Everyone wants to talk about how live scope should be banned. Hell, you should ban these paddle tail swim baits because they catch every single fish that swims.
I haven't seen a fish that won't hit a swim bait yet.
No, these little 3-inch paddle tail swim bait in a variety of colors. We are catching
walleyes, white bass,
pike.
You caught some large, obviously bass, largemouth bass, smallmouth bass.
I caught a crappie.
You got a crappie on a swim bait?
Yeah, I caught a big crappie, about a 14-incher.
Wow.
Yep. Smallmouth bass, rock bass, pike, white bass, walleyes. Yeah, I had to force myself to stay home last night.
and not go get
another limit of fish. I was like, no, you need to stay home, get some rest. So,
I don't know how this will go on the whole interwebs, but South Dakota is the superior state in the Midwest.
North Dakota is pretty nice too.
North Dakota is good. I live in North Dakota. I love North Dakota.
You can do what we did on Devil's Lake all over the place.
But South Dakota's better all across the board, in my opinion.
I'd say the Dakotas are pretty good.
They're pretty equal.
Yep. The Midwest is just where it's at. Let's just say that. We said we're going to spread the love this podcast. We won't single out any particular state, but I really love being in the Midwest. Deer hunting, turkey hunting, fishing.
Bird hunting.
Yeah. It's just...
upland, waterfowl.
Mm-hmm. I've been out to the East Coast. I've been down south. I like Texas. but I would consider them the Midwest as well. So,
The Midwest of the South.
yeah. Yeah, it's hard to beat summertime in the Midwest.
Well,
End
it's
of
just
May, beginning of June, the fish are snapping.
snapping.
Yeah. I actually got tired of cleaning fish this weekend.
How many fish have we cleaned in the last,
Oh,
let's say, 4 days?
well, we had a 6-person limit of sunfish and crappies,
Yep.
and we had a limit of walleyes for
Yep.
everybody. And then,
Both we kept.
I went out the next night, and we got another limit of walleyes. There's no possession limit in South Dakota. Plus, we had a big fish fry, so we ate up all those fish.
Yep.
We had about 12 people here, so
Maybe we should talk about that, the possession limits.
well, depends which state you're in.
Well,
So-
I think,
So Minnesota, you can only have, your limit I think is 4 walleyes. Well, you can only have one. You have to check first of all, everyone check your rules and regulations for the state you live in.
yep.
But Minnesota, you're allowed to have one limit at home. So if you go out and catch your limit of walleyes, technically you're supposed to eat those. They don't want you stocking up in your freezer.
What is North Dakota's?
You're gonna have to look it up, but it used to be
No more than 3 times a daily limit of
Yes.
waterfowl. Or what's waterfowl?
yeah,
Depends.
not waterfall.
Waterfowl.
Those are ducks.
That's what it's saying. Okay, well, I wonder what it is for fish.
Yeah.
So what? Well, waterfowl. It's usually it depends on the species, right?
yeah.
Pheasants, you can have 2 or 3.
You can have pens. Well, for hunting, you can have not as a non-resident. I believe you can have. I think it's like the same thing, 3 times the daily limit.
This is very bright. I'll turn this down.
So you'd have the possession limit for fish in North Dakota, and they might have got rid of theirs. I think it used to be
Well,
I think you could keep 20 as a non-resident. I'm not sure.
says, it depends. So for North Dakota, it depends on the fish.
Sure.
So your trouts is
Nobody cares about trout.
possession limit 6. It's a love podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well here we go.
Do 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 do. Time's up. We can't find the answer. That's why.
I found it.
Oh, just
So
in the
North
nick of
Dakota,
time.
statewide daily and possession limits. Walleye, sauger, saugeye is 5. The possession limit is 10.
There you go.
It looks like across the board, it's about double whatever your daily limit is. You can keep 2 days
Yep.
worth of fish in your freezer before you have to eat one in North Dakota.
Yep.
South Dakota, you're a resident. You can go out and catch your daily limit of fish and come back and put it in your freezer and stockpile it for the year, which I think is
Awesome.
completely awesome and completely makes sense in my mind because
And
as
at the
long as
same
you
time, you have to
abide
be
the daily limit.
yes.
then
You
don't
need to
wanna
be
overfish.
responsible though too. So you can't leave all the conservation up to the game and fish departments. You have to do it yourself. I mean, just because you can go catch 60 walleyes doesn't mean you should.
No.
Which is why I tied myself up last night so I wouldn't go fishing because I was like,
Even though
no.
it's hard to do, it's so fun. You can always catch and release.
Yeah, it's hard to throw back a 16-inch walleye. So
Just dandy fish taco. That's hard.
I caught my 4 the other night and I went home. And I was
Yep.
like, nope, this is all I need. I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. Plus, I didn't want people to see me where I was at. So,
Yeah. No, it's that's the one thing. Yeah, I mean, let's see someone catching fish. The whole Norwegian fish finder thing. They'll come in there and snag your spot.
move right in on you.
Right
They're
in
trying to
under.
throw their bobber right next to you, you know. We had a little bit of that going on amongst our group even. You know, one guy'd catch a fish pretty soon. Geez, I got everyone else like right next to me.
4 bobbers.
Yeah. Like, get out of here. Go catch your own
Speaking of
fish.
which, we went to a specific lake. We won't say names, and we caught, I don't know, probably 150 bluegill. We, kept our limit, but we caught way more than our limit. I'll say that.
Crappies,
Yeah, crappies, smallmouth
smallmouth
bass,
bass.
and that's just, and I think as people always try, like, how we talked about in our last crazy internet explosion, how bass fishing should only use topwater. Well, it's to give actual, education and advice here. Bobber and a worm. Classic. Never fails.
Little jig
Little jig.
on there with a little bit of color. Little chunk of night crawler. Put a kid in the boat. Give him a fishing rod. Let him go crazy.
You know, it's crazy how just, simple fishing and how even the fun, how experienced you are as a fisherman, how you're this master fisherman, whatever. Still fun to go out there with a bobber and a worm and just slay a couple hundred bluegills.
That's right. It is. It's tons of fun. Fishing is fun. It's fun figuring out the fish. It's fun catching them. It's, it's just fun getting out there doing all that stuff.
Well, I think it's kind of crazy now, and just my experience of growing up, we really only fished Lake of the Woods.
Yep.
Because why would you leave it? Why would you go anywhere else if you have a fishery like Lake of the Woods? Couple
And
miles.
it's a long ways in between lakes after Lake of the Woods.
Yeah, where we lived. But
Right.
now, and yes, we're technically where I live. There's not a ton of lakes around, but where you live now, it's crazy how many different lakes there are and how many different type. I mean, you were saying we had some family over, and we were like, well, what do you guys want to do? And you're like, well, it depends on what. We were asking you, like, well, where should we go? He's like, well, it depends on what fish you want to catch.
Yep.
It's crazy how many different lakes and how many different species of fish that you can go after, and it's just like, oh, go drive over here, drive over there, and it just makes me feel sorry for all those city slickers and people that live out in the middle of a desert that can't experience the awesomeness that is the Midwest fishing in lakes country.
Yeah, we don't want to tell the city people anymore. I used to try to tell them that I don't know why you live where you do, but now I don't want them to move here. I want them to stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, let's get down to some information here.
Information.
What
What are we?
has been working for fishing? I mean, obviously right now fishing's hot. Pretty much everything works. But what have
Mhm.
you seen that works good in your days of fishing?
Well, what are we going after? Walleyes.
Well, let's say we're going after walleyes right now. Or
So
fishing report.
crazy thing is, I have pretty much just been throwing a paddle tail all spring, and every time I've been fishing, that's all I've been doing is just casting the weed beds, casting the rock piles, casting shoreline, and I've been using 3 different ones. I've been using, I gave you the mimic minnow with the perch color,
Yeah.
which
Which is
which
like such a, classic little lure.
it's a classic little lure, and they were following that thing right into shore and smacking it for you.
It works like crazy.
Yep, I was throwing those. I was throwing some other little paddle tail. Can't remember the name of them. Kentrek or Kenetech or something. I got from Shields. Little. I mean, I'd see the minnows swimming on the shoreline, and I'd pull my bait right through them, and mine looked like a better version of a minnow, actually. You know.
Is there certain colors that are working right now?
I've been using as it gets closer to night. I'll switch over to like a white one with a little glow. That perch color has been working well. I caught some on I had some that were kind of a natural minnow color. Those have been working. But I think I'm going to go out tomorrow night and try. I got Al, my buddy Al Tackley, shout out to him, who listens to the podcast as well. He's coming fishing, and we're going to, so I'm going to go do some scouting to see if I can find some fish and try to see if I can find a crankbait trolling bite. I haven't pulled cranks at all this year. That's usually what I do. That's kind of my forte. But boy, it's hard to beat the rush of cranking in a paddle tail swim bait and having a walleye come just crack that sucker.
Yeah, I remember the time when we were out there casting. I was talking to you. I was like, "This is just ridiculous." I mean, you just then boom, it just smokes you.
Yep, they just smoke it.
Well, we were trying different ways, and I mean, just burning it seemed to be the way to do it.
We caught that one on camera when you were filming me.
Yeah.
On Snapchat, you were just,
Yeah, just sending a Snapchat to the
I was
old
like, hey,
wife,
shine that light on me so I can see where I'm reeling. And I threw that out there, and all of a sudden, I'm cranking it in, and boom! I got one. Reeled up a nice 19-inch walleye.
Yeah, we were fishing like the blind, just pointing it towards the water.
Yep. Walked me down there, point me towards the water, and
just keep casting and reeling up. Which I wonder if they make. Are night vision goggles illegal for fishing?
Geez, I don't know.
Because would a spotlight, a big light on you, would that deter fish a little bit? Or would that attract them?
Like some of the guys that had the headlamps on and they were shining, out towards the water so they could see their bobbers. I was like, I almost felt like the fish didn't bite as good as they did the night before when we forgot headlamps.
Yeah.
Because, it's definitely that last half hour of light and about a half hour after dark is that prime window.
The fish can see in the dark. I mean, especially walleyes. All fish, they can see.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Well, for you,
my gosh.
Would night vision goggles...
Imagine if we had these when we were kids. Better yet, we have them when we're 40 or 50 or 25.
I mean, can you buy night vision goggles as a civilian?
Yes. Like thermal, you can get thermals, you can get all kinds of stuff.
Goggles for fishing legal. The use of night vision equipment this is in North Dakota. I probably should look up South Dakota. I'll look up that next. Yes, the use of night vision equipment is legal for fishing in North Dakota. Specifically, the North Dakota Game Fish Department permits the use of night vision equipment and electronically enhanced light gathering optics. You can in North Dakota. Obviously, you probably can in South Dakota because South Dakota is awesome. South Dakota is generally prohibited for spotting or taking wildlife. There are exceptions, particularly for certain species on private property. From January 1st to August 31st, a person may use night vision equipment, but no artificial light.
Interesting. Yeah, so, that's exciting. But yeah, the fishing's hot right now. I don't think it matters what you do or what you try. And I talked to people that were running bottom bouncers and crawlers, getting their limits. I talked to, I think people in Minnesota are just crushing the fish as well, jigs and minnows.
Yeah.
It is that time of year where you should start to switch to crawlers. As soon as the mayflies hatch, I always switch to night crawlers or crankbaits.
So not minnows. Why is that?
Well, the minnows are kind of it's kind of a spring thing. I mean, you'll still catch them on minnows, but usually there's a bug hatch, and you got all these little worm-looking things coming out of the bottom of the mud. So then the walleyes go out there to feed on those. So you want to match the hatch. So obviously if there's little worms coming out the bottom, well then you want to pull night crawlers.
Yep.
So it's that in leeches, I don't think a walleye ever passes up a leech. So It's
Which I always wonder, like, who's like, oh, look, a leech. I wonder if fish will bite this. Like, worms. I
well,
mean,
yeah.
like, who was trying this back in the day?
Well, leeches are in the water. Walleyes eat them things all the time.
You know, I mean, probably someone saw a fish eat a leech while it was swimming.
Yep. Yeah, it's they're using a lot of people were using these little willow cat, which looks like a little bullhead fish for walleyes as bait. I know some of the PWT guys were using that in those earlier tournaments on like Red Wing and stuff. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of about any. You just gotta find where the fish are and get something in front of them, and they're gonna hit about anything. But I try to match the hatch. I mean, that's the best. When I say match the hatch, it's like, okay, if the spring of the year you got a bunch of minnows that are swimming around and spawning and whatever, you want to use minnows.
Yep.
If you got if all of a sudden you got a bug hatch, well, then you want to use crawlers, and then there's leeches swimming around. I would try to use leeches because if you're out fishing and you're looking in the water and you're seeing big leeches go swimming by, probably throw a big leech on because you're
Yeah.
gonna you're gonna catch some. You know, you're gonna catch a lot of fish. And then the nice thing about crankbaits are, and I think the reason they work so well is you get two bites with a crankbait. You get a reactionary bite where they just see that thing coming by and it aggravates them and they just hit it because they want to kill it. And then you also get the food bite as well. So like even when they don't want to bite, sometimes when that comes by them, it just triggers a reaction and they'll strike it
Yep.
and you'll catch them. And when they're feeding is when you notice that your crankbaits are all the way down their mouth. They just come up and they engulf the whole thing, which
Yeah.
is fun.
Which is what I noticed about these swim baits is they're hitting it hard.
Yeah, they're not messing around.
No.
They are smoking them
Yeah.
quite hard. So
Which I haven't. I mean, maybe that's just because like with a swim bait, you have to have an aggressive fish for it to bite. It's not like a bobber or something where they can nibble at it or like doing your ice fishing jigging, but
and yet you can slow down with a swim bait and finesse them things. You can
bounce
pop
it
them
across the
across the
bottom.
bottom, so they're falling with that paddle tail. You can
Yep.
burn them in. You can reel slow. I mean, you can do. There's so many things you can do with them. They're just a really nice way to catch walleyes.
It's pretty fun too.
It's pretty fun.
I mean, just I mean, from my perspective, growing up as a kid on Lake of the Woods, trolling. That's the way to do it. I mean, maybe some bottom bouncers,
Mm-hmm.
but it's usually like, oh, your rod's bending, and then you pick up and you fight the fish, and that's super
Yeah.
fun. I will never say it's not, but something about casting out that rod, that swim bait, and reeling it in, all of a sudden like boom, boom, and you set the hook after it pops you, and
Yep. You definitely feel the bite more
yeah.
when you're casting.
I have like a medium light rod. I mean, it's a little heavier, which I like, but and you're using light rods, so it's pretty fun.
Medium action. Yep.
Yep.
I think the one I was using was actually a medium.
Yeah. And what's crazy is they were like as we'd catch them 3 feet from the shore. Like they must have been following it for a long time, and then
Yep.
made
They
the
see
move
it
at the
get
last
close to
second.
the. Mm-hmm.
They think it's getting away, are gonna go hide in the rocks, and
Yep.
boom, and you big splash, and it was
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah, it was. It's so much fun. It's that time of year where you got it. We've talked about before. We like to roll through the seasons.
Yep.
Everybody says you know, the haters say we're using guides and outfitters and everything, but it's not the truth. The truth is we just roll through the seasons and we just, you gotta, turkey tags are all filled. So
Yeah, we filled every turkey tag.
So we got to put all the turkey tags, or all the we put all the turkey tags away. Put all the turkey hunting equipment away,
Yep.
and we get all the fishing stuff out. And then we'll roll with fishing until probably about mid-August, and then we'll start transitioning into bow hunting. Then the scouting for that starts, and these people that the haters saying that, oh, you're using guides. No, what we do is we actually go out and scout
Yeah.
and
Just
put the work
try.
in,
Yep.
and we try to, you got to scout more than you hunt actually, and the same thing goes for fishing. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I was out fishing a few times before you guys got here, so I figured out where the fish were.
Yep.
And then we got old Cuz, our other scout, who's, he's a team member, Lindemann Outdoors. He was out there fishing as well. So then
Yep.
that's just what you do. You get together with your buddies and you're like, hey, you go try this spot, I'll go try this spot. And then when you find them, you let each other know. And then you go fishing together and you catch a bunch of fish.
Yep.
Same thing with turkey hunting and deer hunting, whatever. We go scout, we find land, we run cameras, we
Drive around.
drive around. I mean, I don't want to tell people how we do everything because I no longer want anybody else out there. I tried to help y'all, but you're a bunch of haters. You're not worth it. Not worth my time. So, no, I'm just joking. I'll help everybody.
Yep.
I want people to enjoy the sport. It's given me so much, so I want to give back. But, y'all got to listen to what we tell you. You
Yep.
have to get outdoors and go fishing. You're not going to catch them from the house. You're
Ain't
not going
gonna
to
fill
catch.
your freezer from the couch.
No. And you're not going to catch them doing dumb stuff. I mean, we'll tell you how to get fish. We're going to tell you,
Yep.
we're telling you how we're doing it.
Yeah.
It's,
And that's the thing is we're going out there and we're putting in the work and trying different things and
yep.
even when we know how usually when we know a certain way, like when we're trolling, like in the past, we would always like have one of our people, usually me or you, if we had someone with, that would run a different color or style of lure to see if that one would work better. Have an experimentation rod.
Yep. Put the control lures on that we know catch fish. We
Yep.
got a couple certain colors that we know. I mean, you put your fire tigers, your
Your chrome blues.
clowns, your perch patterns.
Yep.
They're going to get fish.
Yep.
So you put a couple of those out, and then you have someone else. Hey, why don't you throw a purple one on? Why don't you try this? Why don't you try?
Like crayfish colored one.
Yeah, let's see what's happening.
Yep.
We do all this experimenting, and that's why you always get mad at me because I'm like, all right, you guys are catching fish. I'm not really catching any. I'm like, I have a lure that I know. Sometimes I save them. I don't
Yep.
always use them.
He keeps them in his back pocket. And he goes, "Oh, look at this one."
You know,
It's always like similar to the one I'm catching fish on, but just has something a little bit that makes it just a little bit extra, a little better.
just a little different.
Son of a bitch. Gets him every time.
It's like the other night I was out there and I was using this green and orange one and I was doing pretty good on it.
Yep.
And I was like, I kind of slowed down a little. So then I threw a white one on with kind of a chartreuse head on it with a little
Yep.
splash of orange. And all of a sudden I threw that out and didn't make two casts and bam, and then threw it out again and bam, another one and another one. And I was like, I think I found the pattern here.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy.
If the person next to you catches 3 fish on a particular lure, that is not a coincidence. That is a pattern. So then everybody in the boat needs to put that color of lure on.
Yep.
This is also why I have 10,000 lures, because when I find a color that works, I don't just buy one of them. I buy 4 or 5 of them.
You buy the pole that they're on.
Yeah. Take the whole.
Take
You
the
find one
pegboard.
that's hot, you buy it.
Yep.
You
'Cause,
know,
hey, you lose, you hit a rock, you hit snakes, you lose them on big fish, you lose lures.
It happens.
I was casting, and sadly, this is, a mistake, I'll admit. I sat down because I was tired of standing and reeling in walleyes. I sat down, I went like this to do a giant big cast, and I hooked it on a rock, and I snapped my knot on a good lure. Don't know where it went. It was dark, couldn't find it.
It's probably still
Somewhere.
flying.
I, I like to cast far. That's about me. I like to get it out there. Probably don't have to. I'm probably a little
Well,
over aggressive,
so,
but
so that's the other thing too, is if you're casting swim baits, we're using 7-foot rods because here's a little secret tip for people that it took me. I'm ashamed of how many years it took me to learn, but the longer the rod, the further you can cast. So like these people trying to fish with a 5'6" or a 6-foot rod, and they're like, "Oh, I can't cast that far." Well, you put a 7-foot rod on and put some Power Pro or Fireline on there, and if the water's super clear and the fish are spooky, you just tie on a fluorocarbon leader, a couple feet. But anyway, you can rifle them. I was casting a little 1/4 ounce or 3/8 ounce jig, 60 yards out there.
oh yeah,
Maybe 50. I don't know. I didn't measure it. Don't people be like, you can't cast 60 yards? Yeah, whatever. Shut up. But you need to. That's one of the tricks to being able to cast further is you got to have a 7-foot rod. It's got to have, and then you want it to be, have a good action to it too. So when the fish hits, there's some shock absorber there.
Yep.
Like we were catching those fish right by shore. If we had too short a rod or too stiff of a rod, when they hit, we'd have lost a lot of them. But we had that shock absorber, so when they're hitting, that rod's got that big bend, and you can just sit there, and that fish is just fighting that rod, and you don't lose them. And then you can control the fish as well. So there's a little knowledge drop for you people.
Yep. But yeah, that's the fishing report. I think we're gonna wrap this one up here. I got some work to do. Believe it or not, people, I have a job.
This is our job.
Yeah. Hit the subscribe button. Make this be our full-time job. I'd love to do that for you. But
even if you hate us, like and subscribe, because then you can just hate us some more. I guarantee we'll give you material.
We'll say something dumb. That's a promise.
Yeah, for sure.
But as we always say, God bless everyone. Go out, fill the freezer. Thanks for watching. Peace out.